Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 8th meeting of the Great Neck Public Schools Board of Education. We're all very excited for our students who we will shortly be recognizing, but we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So welcome again, and I think we're going to flip the order a little bit on this printed agenda, if it's okay with everyone. Dr. Kozine is here with us to welcome our students, and also Dr. Prendergast, I hope you don't mind that we're going to ask Dr. Kozine to go right ahead and to welcome our board trustee. Go right ahead, please.
Thank you. Good evening. Dr. Prendergast, Mrs. Susuni, Mr. Shi, Mrs. Perez, Mr. Berkowitz, Mr. Tak, Central Office administrators, parents, students, staff, family, and friends. On behalf of the Richard S. Sherman North Middle School Learning Community, I thank you for honoring North Middle School's exemplary students. What a special night, a night to recognize our quality of life recipients for their passion and their efforts to improve and enhance our school community, the Great Neck community, and the world at large. A night to recognize the importance of community, of our committed staff, our exceptional students, our supporting parents, and our incredibly supportive Board of Education. It's also nice to be back in this space, our auditorium, a gathering place that has not seen this ceremony in 3 years. So to all of you, I welcome you home. Before I start acknowledging our guests of honor, the North Middle School students who are being recognized, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge I'll talk louder. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the group of individuals who are honoring our North Middle School recipients. The exceptional work of the Great Neck Board of Education must be acknowledged. Public education is the foundation of our great country, and a strong supportive Board of Education is charged with supporting and enhancing this foundation. In Great Neck, these 5 individuals care deeply about our whole community and tirelessly advocate for the success of all of its students, from our preschoolers to our adult learners. The Great Neck Public Schools are often mentioned in discussions about the best schools in the country. And the Board of Education, who are stewards of public education, plays an essential role in providing the environment and resources to provide this success. So on behalf of North Middle School, I would like to extend our sincerest appreciation for all that you do for our students in the Great Neck community. Mrs. Perez is the embodiment of Great Neck Public Schools. She's been a parent as her children went through the Great Neck Schools, a PTA representative, a revered teacher of the Great Neck Schools, and now finally a trustee of our Great Neck Board of Education. Through this journey, she has developed a unique perspective that allows her to advocate for the entirety of Great Neck's diverse learning community. So it is with great pleasure that I ask you to join me in welcoming Mrs. Donna Perez to speak on behalf of the Board of Education and our students.
voice. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Kozan, Ms. Anderson, and Ms. Gunning, for hosting me and my fellow Board of Education members to North Middle School. For me, it's like coming home since, as Dr. Kozan said, my 3 children all graduated from here. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight to share this special moment with all of you. The evenings when the board has the opportunity to recognize students in the secondary schools are truly some of the most rewarding events that we attend. Your class began middle school with the hybrid model of education. Due to COVID and many activities that were not fully operational until this year. And Dr. Kozan is welcoming you all back to this ceremony here in this auditorium for the first time in 3 years is an example of that. However, your perseverance, youth, and your strength have helped you take advantage of all that North Middle School has to offer you now. 104 of you are here because you have been chosen by a committee of staff for your contributions that you have made to the quality of life in your school and community. You have stood out in a variety of ways, and I know I'm going to miss some of them, but you have excelled in sports. Some of you have entertained us with your acting ability in shows or your excellence in band or orchestra, or making the productions work smoothly on a stage crew. Some of you are informing your school population by writing for your newspaper or yearbook, or reporting from the TV studio on Blazers Live in the morning. Some of you are here because of sportsmanship or being kind. Some of you are here for participation on the robotics team, being a member of Champions Club, junior firefighters, or even a student representative to the Board of Education. You have each made your mark on North Middle School in a different way, but all together you have created a meaningful, well-rounded community. Soon, you will leave to make your mark on high school and beyond. Remember how it feels to have contributed to a community and to carry that feeling with you as you go through life. Remember what it means to be kind and to treat others with respect. We live in times when too many of us adults forget those 2 important rules of life. Here at North Middle, you are learning from each other, your teachers and your administrators, how to treat your fellow humans. Thank you to the entire staff of North Middle School for being role models to our students. But let us not forget to thank your most important teachers. Do you know who they are? Exactly. Your first teachers and the ones who have been giving you your most important life lessons, your parents. Let's give them a hand. For lending us your most extraordinary children. On behalf of the entire Board of Education, our best wishes to you on this award, and we hope you continue to be standouts in participation, volunteerism, and peer leaders. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. So now it's your turn. Our 8th grade angels, my cherubs, our quality of life recipients, our North Middle School veterans. It's your turn to have me speak proudly on your behalf. During your more than 2.5 years here at North Middle School, you have shown yourselves to be worthy of being recognized this evening. I want you to think about why you are here. What you have done to improve the quality of life of North Middle School and the greater Great Neck community. You were selected for this recognition based on school and community service and overall school achievement. For this, We, the staff and administration of North Middle School, thank you. For all of us, this building is our home for a large part of our day. If you are getting the appropriate amount of sleep per day, which is 8 to 10 hours a night, insert eye roll here, most of you spend more waking hours here than you do at home. When we look at it this way, this is your home away from home. And we thank all of you for enhancing and improving our home through your altruistic endeavors and your participation in extracurricular and athletic activities. However, please listen carefully to what I say next. Are you listening? Yes. Someone shook their head no. Okay, it's as simple as this. Do not stop. You have all gained your voice. You've learned to self-advocate. And hopefully you understand your ability to make a difference. So now you must build upon this. Continue to grow every single day. Continue to help others. Continue to improve the quality of life for all of those with whom you come in contact with. And here's a spoiler alert. It won't always be easy. In fact, there will be times you'll want to give up, to take the easy way out. But persevere. Work through it. Utilize your resources, including your parents and teachers. Recognize that you are never without someone to turn to. I know it sounds a bit overdramatic, but we the adults need you to impact our school, our community, and our world in a positive manner. So now you all know how I love my quotes. Ben Franklin, who also advocated for lots of sleep with his famous advice, early to bed and early to rise, also spoke about the ability to enhance our world. Mr. Franklin said, "By improving yourself, the world is made better. Be not of growing too slowly. Be afraid only of standing still." Indeed, I agree. Always be improving. Always be growing. Do not let apathy become a part of who you are. The very fact that you are here this evening demonstrates that you have not stood still. You have embraced your growth. Again, I tell you, do not stop. I know it's a lot to ask of 13 and 14-year-olds, but sorry, I have to challenge you to do this. The next few months will fly by, and before you know it, I'll be bidding you goodbye on June 23rd. However, it's not a real goodbye. We'll be watching and listening to hear about the great things you do at North High School. And I fully expect to see many of you, if not all of you, being recognized by Dr. Holtman as North High School Quality of Life recipients. As I absolutely expect you to continue being involved in your school and outside communities so that you are difference makers in the world. Thank you for your contribution to our learning community, our home. Thank you for showing us the power of adolescence. And thank you for your resilience as you've adapted and persevered over the past 3 years. I am honored to have traveled on this journey with you. Congratulations. Thank you. I work with two exceptional administrative colleagues, whom I'm sure many of you are familiar with, Miss Anderson and Miss Gunning, my co-principals here at North Middle School. They will be reading the names of our recipients this evening.
Good evening, everybody, and congratulations to the 2023 Quality of Life recipients. I'm going to ask that the audience please hold their applause until all names are read. Row 1, you're up. Allison Abreu. Lucas Adams. Asher Adut. Harrison Albin. Emily Aminian. Row 2. Dana Amirian. Gabriel Anavim. Ethan Anavim. Kendall Offinger. Daniel Avakuk. Noah Bakshi, Zahara Bendelstein, Abigail Bernstein, Kylie Bajari, Brielle Benjamin, Tyler Braun. Blake Chaman, Lucas Chang, Orion Chaston, Adrian Chia, Monica Chen, Megan Chen, Zhaoji Chen. Kenneth Cho, Regina Cho, Jinu Choi, Kyle Chu, Eric Chu, Michael Cohen, Adam Crispin, Bianca Darvish, Anna Eniatian, Esther Feleev, Zachary Feder, Tori Flood, Analia Flores Balam, Leticia Fuentes Molina, Heidi Fuentes Reyes, Guy Gardner, Gabe Gasabian, Aaron Gatanji, Daniel Godsey, Ben Ginsberg, Ella Ginsberg, Hewley Glucklich, Erica Guadalupe Grande, Emmett Greenblatt, Isaac Gutierrez Diaz, Baron Hakimi, Miley Hakimian.
Ready, guys? We're so proud of you. Deegan Hakimian, Yushan Han, Elan Harel, Warren Harilal, Zachary Harunian, Erin Hay, Ruth Herrera, Lindsay Hirschbein, Keshin Huang, Liel Kafairad. Next row. Elliot Kane, Leticia Kaya, Marissa Levine, Mia Lee, Stella Lynn, Emily Livian, Aiden Lowe, Yael Lyakov, Jaden Malul, Utherv Malpani. Cindy Martinez, Kiara Martinez, Jacob Machier, Megan McCarthy, Angel Menendez Segovia, Joey Moalemi, Christian Moreno Hernandez, Ravid Nafisi, Lauren Nasimi, Chloe Nazar. Sivan Nassim, Brandon Nogray, Jordan Moshe Omid, Lauren Pekarian, Liam Philippe, Chloe Pineda, Abigail Podwall, Michelle Polanco, Sophia Rastegar, Eden Rosenberg, Juliet Sabi, Aliza Sadikoff, Adrian Sarfati, Joshua Sabugulu, Ellie Segal, Rocky Shalit, Tori Sobiecki, Stanley Tsai. And last row, but certainly not least, Juhi Yoon, Elon Udelovich, Mai Zakin, Adina Zagari, Luke Zhang, and Nathan Zhang. Well done, boys and girls. We love you, and we're so proud of you.
So proud of these students, and like Ms. Perez said, thank you to the parents for your support. Thank you for trusting us every day with your most valued possessions. We are extremely proud of them. How about one last hand for the 2023 Quality of Life recipients? At this time, we are going to have the Board of Education meeting. I don't miss, but the kids, they can go. Now, you guys can stay if you'd like, but I know you have a lot to do. So we're going to take a break and we'll allow them to, our parents and students to leave if you like. You can more than welcome to stay. But thank you, everyone, and have a safe evening.
Okay, welcome back to the public action meeting. We had an extended break, and thank you to everyone who remained with us. I want to give a special thanks to our one student representative who's here with us. It's very much appreciated that we have student representatives. Actually, we have two. Look at that. And as always, our student representatives, you are also able to address the board and pose questions to us. Please know that. You could do that during the meetings, after the meetings. We are here for you, and we appreciate that you're here. And going back to the agenda. So the next item on our agenda is item 3A, which is the approval of the minutes from the February 15th and February 16th meetings of the board. Is there a motion in favor?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is item 4A, which is the acceptance of communications received by the board. Since our last meeting, there was one item of communications received. It was a letter from a parent expressing gratitude for an award their child was receiving. Is there a motion in favor of accepting that communication?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That too carries unanimously. We already took care of item 5A, which was the student recognitions, and once again, we are very happy for our students and very proud of their achievements, which were, I just want to note, not only academic, the people they are, the parents who raised them, the teachers who help educate them, and the administrators in this fine building. So thank you for that. And the next item on the agenda is 5B. Dr. Prendergast, without further ado.
Thank you, Mrs. Sassouni. Good evening, everyone. 2 GNPS educators have been recognized through the Harvard Club of the Long Island Distinguished Educator Teacher Program. Dr. Teresa Walter, an English teacher and department chair at South High School, is one of 12 recipients of the Distinguished Teacher Award for 2023. Additionally, Joe Bonavicino, a math teacher at North High, is a nominee in this year's program. The Distinguished Teacher Award honorees are nominated by current Harvard undergraduates and then selected by the Harvard Club of Long Island board members for their lasting impressions that they have had on student lives. I offer my congratulations to Dr. Walters and Mr. Bonvicino. I also have several student accolades, so please bear with me. This is an exciting month. I'm pleased to share that research conducted by North High School senior Addison Klebanoff has been published in the Genes and Cancer, a leading scientific journal in the field of cancer and genetics. Addison is a member of North High Science Research Program, and he conducted his research at the Feinstein Institute for Medical Research in Manhasset. Congratulations on this very impressive accomplishment. Works by North High School students Gloria Shi and Ashley Liu have been selected for an exhibit in the second annual Middle and High School Student Artist Jury Show, and their exhibit is free to attend and will be on display through March 30th. The Science Olympiad team from South High is headed to New York State Science Olympiad tournament in Syracuse next weekend. The team won medals in 22 out of 23 events at the regional tournament in February, earning them first place and a trip to the state competition. And speaking of state tournaments, the math team from North Middle School completed the 2023 New York State Math Counts Championship this past weekend. The team qualified for the state championships by placing within the top 3 teams on Long Island. Congratulations to our middle school mathletes. Go North Middle. I am in the process of collecting additional information for science recognitions for our LICEF awards, and I look forward to sharing that with the community at our next board meeting. And finally, our secondary schools have exciting theatrical productions scheduled for later this month. So please, if you haven't noted it on your calendar already, there are several shows worth attending. And you've heard me say this in the past, our shows are of the caliber of Broadway, so there is no need to travel into the city. Get your tickets. I know these shows are going to be sold-out performances. North Middle will be presenting the Disney musical Newsies on March 22nd and March 23rd. South Middle will present the musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat from the 23rd through the 25th. The junior players at North High will present their spring play, The Bold, the Young, and the Murdered, from March 30th through April 1st. And last but not least, the annual South High Opera, The Marriage of Figueroa, is scheduled for March 31st and April 1st. My calendar is booked. These performance times and tickets information are available on the district website on the homepage. Make sure you buy your tickets now if you are looking for a seat to these very high demand and popular shows. And that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prendergast. The next item on the agenda is item 5C, which is a budget presentation by Mr. O'Keefe. And for that, we're going to watch the screen behind us, and we can, I guess, turn. The board is going to turn. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Turn the lights down a little bit so that people in the audience can see a little bit better. So tonight's a continuation of the conversation we started at the last board meeting. Last meeting, we did a preliminary discussion really looking at the revenue side of the process. As I said last time, there are 2 budgets that we build each year. There's a revenue budget, so we calculate what monies are available to us. Hang on one second, I lost my screen here. There we go. Sorry about that. So we talked about the revenue budget last time, and this presentation this evening and our next presentation, we're going to go through the expenditure side of the budget. So where are the monies actually being spent in the different categories? So next meeting is the end of the month. The April 18th meeting will be the final meeting, also the board's adoption of the budget. Then we have our budget hearing, and then the official budget vote on May 16th. So if you've taken a look at the line-by-line budget in the past, you see a lot of letters and numbers, and it doesn't always necessarily make sense. You know, where do we come up with this? Well, it is a uniform set of accounting numbers that is prescribed by the State Controller's Office, not only for schools, but for all municipalities, towns, villages, etc. So we all basically use the same nomenclature when we record our expenditures. So if you were to look at a school and you see a budget line A1310, you know that's the business office. You see A1310 in a village, it means the same thing. So it's a uniform format. It makes comparisons from district to district the same or across government lines. And the one bullet I want to point to is the last one on the bottom, because there will be a number of changes this year as well as next, because in the last few years, the state and federal government have added a number of different mandates to us for our reporting. And with that reporting, we have to distill down certain budget lines in greater detail and align certain expenditures in a format in which the state and the federal government wants to see them. So we are going to see some changes with moves of expenditures between functional codes, maybe new functional codes or codes we haven't used in the past will now be utilizing, or other codes maybe we'll stop utilizing. So as we go through the presentation, I'll point those items out to you. So this, again, is an account code, and I just wanted to give you a quick example. I won't bore you with all the details, but this is an account code. It's an alphanumeric mechanism for us to group similar expenditures. So just taking one account code out of a chart of accounts, we have nearly 1,400 general fund account codes. Always starts off with a letter. A is the general fund. That is the only budget we actually speak about publicly. That's the budget that the voters approve each year. But there are other budgets. There could be a C there. That would mean we're talking about the cafeteria. Or H, we could be talking about capital projects. But for the case of budget presentations, we're always talking about A. The first four numbers are what we call the function, and that's how these presentations will be broken down in functional categories. So 2110, when we say that, we're talking about what the state calls regular school. It just means general education. 4,500 is an object. That's the next four numbers. That represents, in this case, supplies and materials. Then we have three digits after that. That's the location. In most cases, it usually means the building in which the expenditure is for. In this case, 007 is JFK. And then you could have four numbers at the end. In many cases, you won't have numbers. It might all be zeros. It might be for the entire building, for the entire district. But at the secondary buildings, you could have four numbers there. You know, you could have a 2,500 or a 2,600 or some other grouping of four numbers. Those usually distill the expenditure down to the actual department. You could have science expenditures, English expenditures, math expenditures, and so on. So taking those functional categories, and they actually put them into logical groups. So when you see 1,000 codes, we're talking about general support. You know, so that's all the back office, that's the business office, that's payroll, that's facilities and grounds, that's insurance, that's all the things unrelated to direct instruction. Your 2,000 codes are all your instruction codes. That's general education, special education, technology education, your librarians, your guidance counselors, your psychologists, your social workers, all of the educators throughout the district. 5,000 is always transportation. 6,000 is through 8999 is community service. We use 7,000 codes here in Great Neck. That's for our recreation program. Your 9,000s to 9099 are benefits. 9,700s are debt service. Those are monies owed on bond payments, things of that nature. And you have the 99 to the 999, which are interfund transfers. So that's movement of monies between the general fund and another fund within the district's books. So tonight we're going to look at the starred sections here, as I said, all the non-instructional ones. Just for your own sake, obviously this presentation and all of our presentations are on our website, as well as some helpful guides. This is just an example of two of them. We do have a guide up on the website called Understanding School Finance. It gives you a lot of understanding to how a budget is developed. And another glossary that Mr. Powell created several years ago is still up on the website. There's a lot of industry speak in any industry. Obviously, education is no different. But you'll hear terms sometimes, maybe you don't understand what they mean. This glossary is an 8-page guide with a lot of definitions for all those various terms. So I'd recommend if you have time, you could always visit the website. If you visit this presentation and you have questions that maybe I don't answer this evening, please call my office. We'll gladly go over it with you. You start the budget process each year. Obviously, administration meets with the Board of Education. You know, we get sort of the non-negotiables. You know, what are we looking for from this budget? What do we want to maintain? Things of that nature. Obviously, we want to be respectful to our taxpayers, so we're going to remain within the tax levy cap. In most instances, unless there was an extreme emergency or an extreme need, I would not recommend piercing a cap. But currently, as I explained in the last presentation, the calculation is for an increase of 3.09%, which we know is well below the actual consumer price index or the inflation rate of last year, which was 8%. We're going to preserve our optimal elementary class sizes. We know that the board is very serious about what the class sizes are at elementary level, and certainly also at the secondary level. But certainly secondary level class sizes are dependent more on student interests and course needs. So there isn't fixed numbers in those classes, but we do try to keep them as small as possible as well. The budget is a rollover budget, which means we're taking all the programs, staffing, everything that we have in the current budget, and that is moving forward to next year. There are no intended cuts in this program. Obviously, we're maintaining our funding for pre-K. The state does provide the district with a nominal amount of money, but that money would not support the needs for all the students that wish to use our pre-K. So the district is always very generously afforded extra monies, so all students who would like to come to pre-K are afforded that opportunity. We also provide transportation and things of that nature, and this budget does preserve that funding as well. And of course, it upholds all of our other programs throughout the district. We always talk about the educational side, but you need to talk about the entire educational process, fine and performing arts, our drama programs, our music programs, intramurals, co-curriculars, our club activities, and our athletic program. And budgetary highlights. So this initial draft budget, and we're not going to touch on all the lines today that some of these items reference, but just so you know, behind the scenes, these are the items that we've already placed into the draft budget that the board has before them. So there are 12 teachers that are retiring this year. So all 12 of those positions are being preserved, not necessarily in the same location. So let's say you have a Saddle Rock, kindergarten teacher retiring, possibly there's not a need in that building, but say South Middle needs a math teacher. So teacher for teacher, all those 12 positions will be replaced. There's an additional of one social worker. Currently Saddle Rock and Baker share a social worker. So for the needs of the children, we are going to add one worker, so we won't be splitting that person anymore between those buildings. We need an additional 0.2 of an FTE for speech pathology for our private schools here in the district. We've earmarked a little over 6 FTEs at the elementary level for various section changes that are occurring throughout the district, whether that's an addition or subtraction from building to building, and we still maintain the 2 contingent positions. That way, if over the summer there's some change in enrollment that's unexpected, the board does have the flexibility of adding in those positions as needed. Same thing on the secondary side. Dr. Landau spends a great deal of time working in the building administration, looking at the master schedules and the student course needs. Currently, we've earmarked 4 FTEs for that program as well. Then there's continued investments in security. In this particular school year, we've added a lot of staffing posts at different buildings. That same staffing will move forward into next year. Plus, though, we're adding additional monies for continued upgrades with things like our electronic door access control systems, primarily at the secondary level. We've been adding them to bathrooms and things like that so we can control access in there, and it also then can secure the bathroom in case of a lockdown, because typically in a bathroom situation, you don't have the means of electronically locking a door. And also with our bus carrier, there's a number of things going on, and we'll actually be sharing those with principals that they can send home to the parents. But one item that's being piloted, and that's starting, I think, almost immediately at all the elementary schools, we're going to be using a GPS app that parents can download so they can actually monitor the child's bus on the way in the morning as well as on the way home in the afternoon. So that pilot will run for about a month. We'll make what tweaks are necessary, then we'll keep expanding it throughout the district. So this is where I start to actually break the budget down into functional codes. I don't think you've normally seen it this way. You have seen it in the budget book, but possibly line by line. Line by line gets a little difficult to follow year to year, but if I keep it in the functional categories, then you can see the changes from year to year. So the way I build this table for you is on the left side, you have the proposed budget that the board will consider for this year. The second column is the current budget for this year, and then I like to add the actual expenditures that we've incurred in those functional categories for the past 3 years, so we can really start looking at trends. You know, we look forward and then we project ahead into the future, so we know where we're headed with our expenditures. But since, as I mentioned in that earlier slide, there are a lot of changes in functional categories, you might see shifts between lines that seem abnormal. So I'll go through them. I won't spend a lot of time on each line, but certainly if the board has questions at the end, or if the public has questions, as I said, feel free to reach out to my office. So just going through them quickly, we have board operations. You're seeing what appears to be a $100,000 drop there. Originally, there was a clerical individual that was coded to that line. That person's now been put to the district clerk line, which is more appropriate for them. The board expenditure line, though, is the training for the board. The board is responsible to take financial training for the fiduciary responsibilities. There are obviously costs in running board meetings and things of that nature. That nominal cost of the $28,000 is what's earmarked for next year. The district clerk's office. Then we have the district meeting, which is the annual election for running the budget vote, et cetera. Chief school administrator is the superintendent's office, and the supporting clerical staff, monies for the superintendent for professional development, conferences, things of that nature. No real changes in that line. Business administration are the offices under my domain. My office, Mr. Ernst's office, the school business administrator. We have the district's auditor and accountant. We have the payroll office, and we have the accounts payable office, as well as many of the contractual expenditures that are paid for through the business office. Now you're seeing what appears to be a $200,000 jump there. I can assure you there is no dramatic change. If your eyes scan down a few lines down below to the 1345 line, you'll see purchasing drops by a similar amount. What's happening here is our accounts payable department, for whatever reason, had always been paid from our purchasing line. I'm just properly aligning the expenditure back to the business office where it belongs. Auditing services, school districts are required to have 3 different sets of auditors. We have external auditors that review our financial statements. We have internal auditors that review all of our protocols and procedures. And then we have claims auditors that review every payment before a check is released to a vendor to ensure that the entire process was done properly, that the items were received, and the amount is what was committed for. Treasurer's office is just that, the treasurer's office. It also does cover our bond counsel for any bond borrowing, as well as our financial advisor, which would be the entity that puts the bond borrowing out for advertisement to the public. Purchasing office, like we just said. Legal counsel is general counsel to the board, as well as legal counsel for defense of any suits against the district, special ed matters, things of that nature. So it's a variety of legal expenses. The personnel office, again, is another line which looks like there's a large increase year to year. There really isn't. There were many expenditures, some of them BOCES related, you know, for the school front system, with their onboarding system, their OLOS, things of that nature were coded in different codes. The expenditures for HR being brought back to that line. The only change in that line worthy of note is a clerk typist is being added this year. That person, of course, then would travel into next year. And public information services is Ms. Bowler's office, as well as our PR, all of our reporting to our community, the costs necessary to produce newsletters, mailers, things of that nature come from that last line. Next, we go on to the facilities and operation of plant. Operation of plant is all your custodians, it's your groundsmen, it's the oil, it's the electricity, it's the lights, it's everything involved with running the district buildings throughout the year. Maintenance of plant are the actual skilled maintenance technicians the district has, our electricians, our plumbers, painters, all the skilled tradesmen, as well as the supplies and materials they need for the year, etc. Central printing and mailing is just that, printing costs and postage costs throughout the year. Central data processing is the back end of IT. So you have the instructional side of IT, which we'll discuss in the next presentation. This is the back end of IT. This is all the technology technicians that we have throughout the district, all the costs for running the mainframes and supports, things of that nature. School district insurance is purely that. It's just the insurance, casualty, property, life, the vehicles, etc. Association dues, the district belongs, the various administrators, cabinet members, et cetera, belong to various organizations, like my own personal organization, school business officials. There are dues that each of us pay. This is the line that comes from. Judgment and claims is just a miscellaneous line that all districts keep on the books in case there's a claim against the district. Somebody's car window gets broken because a groundsman's mowing a lawn and a rock hits it. You can see that the prior year expenditure is $200, $195, et cetera. It could also be deductibles for particular insurance claims. So we keep $2,000 there as a flat line level. Sewer tax assessments is just what it states, the sewer fees that we pay. BOCES administration fees is not the fees that we pay for any of our BOCES services, but every school district throughout the state belongs to their local BOCES. We belong to Nassau BOCES. BOCES do not levy taxes. They have no means of revenue. Their revenue comes from school districts. So each of the component districts in Nassau County of Nassau BOCES pays a portion of their administration fees to operate their budget. So this is Great Neck's portion. As you can see, it changes by about 2% a year. And then the last column is just district office copiers and printers and things throughout district office. Transportation. The top line is our district transportation. That's our transportation office, the staff, Mr. Howell, Mr. Santiago, dispatchers. It's our bus drivers, it's our matrons, those here on staff. The transportation garage is the maintenance garage that maintains the buses, the mechanic itself, as well as the supplies and materials throughout the year to maintain the buses, the gas, the oil, things of that nature. Contractual transportation is the bulk of the expenditures in this category. The transportation, both large buses and small, the vast majority are through We Transport. So this is the fees year to year. And then we just have a line in this district called contractual parental. There are some unusual circumstances at times where a particular parent, because maybe a special medical need of a child, they actually become the transportation for the child, where they don't go on a bus. Obviously, you can see it does not happen too often, but we do hold those monies there. The parent would be reimbursed at the regular IRS rates. And I put this other disclaimer on this page just as a note because it's another one of the factors in school budgeting that nobody really knows about, and it's another one of those components outside of the tax cap that can grow exponentially year to year that we don't have control over. So we talk about the CPI and the cost of inflation when we do the tax cap calculation, and we know that it's the CPI or 2%, whichever is lower. Inflation was 8% this year. The tax levy can only grow by 2%, but not transportation contracts. And they don't even use the same CPI. They use the May CPI for whatever reason. And it's the actual CPI, which this past year is 6.3%. So transportation costs with no change in the number of buses or routes that we run are subject to dramatic change year to year, well and above the amount of money we can levy to pay for them. So I think it's just important to bring that out and point that out to the community and the public. Then we go on to benefits. Benefits are always about 25% of any budget. You have two different retirement systems. You have the employer retirement system, which are your civil servants. These are your non-certificated personnel. Earmark about $3 million. That's a slight increase over current year, but as you can see, it does fluctuate year to year because the employer contribution percentage does change. So if you go back to the 3 prior years, you'll see 3.2 million in 21-22, 3.3 million in the year before, 3.2 million the year before that. Teacher retirement system is the teachers, but it's also all administrators and all certificated personnel. There was a slight decrease this year in the employer contribution percentage, so you are seeing about a $900,000 estimated drop in that expenditure. Social Security is purely the function of what the total salaries are at 7.65%. Workers' compensation, districts don't have workers' compensation insurance. We're self-funded, so all claims borne against the district, we do pay dollar for dollar. We budget $1.5 million annually for that. You can see if you go back several years, we did exceed that slightly, but that's still a good number to use as a budgeting tool. Life insurance is just that, life insurance for various employees throughout the district that may have that benefit. Unemployment, we hold flat. I don't have any anticipated need for more unemployment monies. There's no change in staffing. The medical insurance line is the one that is really dramatic. You have a 12.5% increase last year. You have 16% increase this year. And right now, the early projections for next year are 15. If that comes to fruition, that's 43.5% over 3 years. So you can see a dramatic change in actual cost to where we are today. It just keeps exponentially growing. And again, outside of the tax levy cap calculation, there's no relief for that particular expenditure. Then there's other miscellaneous employee benefits. There's trust funds, there's vision, things of that nature. That's budgeted there. That stays relatively flat. And then Medicare reimbursement. So retirees who do receive Medicare are eligible under New York State law. It's not a contractual benefit, so it's something that all schools, villages, municipalities have to do. We need to reimburse them for their Medicare Part B. So this is where we earmark that money, about $3.5 million. That has been another expense that has been growing substantially year over year. Medicare Part B was held flat for quite a period of time. The last few years it has increased, as well as the IRMA differential, because people are retiring at higher salaries, so they are contributing more for their Medicare Part B. And then we go on to our last slide. Our debt, our TAN, which is our tax anticipation note, and interfund transfers. And this one I added a little bit of, I added some bullets just to clarify what some of these items mean. You see the first two lines, the 9,700 and 9,760, we're flipping, but you also don't see any prior year expenditures. School districts, as you know, and Great Neck specifically, the majority of our income, almost all of our income in this district, comes from tax payments. Districts start off a school year without receiving tax payments. Our fiscal year starts in July, but of course expenditures keep going on. Same thing with state aid. We don't start seeing state aid till late fall. So districts earmark monies to keep on hand as a contingency if there were cash flow issues and we needed to do any short-term borrowing. It's been several years since the last time we borrowed, but we do earmark about $475,000 a year as a contingency just in case we did need to go out and do that borrowing so that we can satisfy our liabilities. The 9789 is our energy performance contract debt and any equipment leases. So we have energy performance contract the district did many years ago. We discussed it in the last board meeting that we have 2 more years of payments on that. And then we also have equipment leases on the majority of our iPads, which is actually something we're going to move away from. I'm going to move towards a model of actually buying them as we go. Interfund transfers for bond debt. So if you remember from the bond schedule from the last meeting, we know that for the next 13, 14 years, we have a $4.3 million a year bond payment for the 2017 bond proposition. Transfers to special aid, $2.4 million. That's the money that we earmark for our pre-K. It's also the money that we earmark to offset summer school expenditures for our special ed population, as well as any children going to special act schools. So summer special ed for children that have a 12-month IEP, the state does contribute to that program up to 80% of what the allowed costs are. The district has to earmark 20% of that expenditure. So within that $2.4 million, we have the funding for the pre-K, which is about $2 million, as I said, and the $400,000 covers the summer special ed as well as the special act schools. You'll see what appears to be a jump from the current year. Again, this is just another movement of monies within functional codes. The monies weren't budgeted in that line that year, but if you look at the 3 prior year, and that's why it's valuable to show the 3 prior year actuals, you'll see in the 3 out years expenditures of 2.1, 2.2, and $2 million. So the transfer to special aid is in line with normal budgeting. And transfers to the capital fund, as I said in the last presentation, for development of the tax cap calculation, I utilized the same starting number for our capital projects. This is representative of that number that we discussed, the 6.9 million. We're holding that flat. It's been in the 6 million range the last 4 years. Year before that, obviously, you did appropriate more money. It may have been for the Baker Auditorium, but I'd have to go back and check on that. And then again, I give these notes, so if you're looking at this presentation outside of this conversation, you have a little bit more information to help you understand what those various lines mean. So next steps, we know this is preliminary. The process does start in late fall. It goes throughout the winter, and it ramps up here in the spring. Obviously, the board will make decisions between now and budget adoption of what will stay in the budget, what will not. The board does have the line by line so they can actually go through and see those different changes. We know we're also waiting for final budget to pass from the state, which is typically around April 1st. So the board, the administration, will all continue working on the budget and refining these numbers as we go along the way, and certainly we'll keep the public and the board apprised through presentations like this one. So just to give you a sneak of what the functional codes are for next time, like I said, tonight we covered financially about 50% of the budget. In the next presentation, we'll be covering the other half of the budget. It's all of our instructional lines, curriculum, supervision, regular schools, special education, the library, our great television program, computer-assisted technology, social workers, psychologists, health, etc. So these are all the categories that I'll break out for you in the next presentation. We'll go over them in detail. And just a reminder, that presentation is on March 29th. We do adopt the budget and do the final budget presentation to the community on April 18th. We have the hearing a few weeks later, which is the community's last opportunity to come in and see what's in the budget, as well as its three-part format. And then we have the budget vote on May 16th. And with that, do we have any questions? Yes, Mr. Talk.
Well, first, I just want to, I don't know if my microphone's on. First, I just want to say thank you for really an excellent presentation.
You're very welcome.
Oh, I'm not on? All right. I just want to thank you. I don't even know if I'm still on or not. Well, anyway, I just want to thank you very much for the excellent presentation. I think that if parents take the time and go online and pull the presentation and listen to your almost live footnoting of the line by lines for these codes in particular, and obviously on March 29, the subsequent codes, I think it'll be extremely informative, and I think it will only serve to enhance the budget conversations that we have as a board, with the administration, with the parents, hopefully going both ways. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And then, once the budget process is completely finalized, then the entire line by line, the final draft of that will end up on the website, so the community will have access to all the information, all the materials before we actually get to the hearing or the budget vote. So that way, if there's other follow-up questions or information that's not clear, they can certainly reach out to us.
And then the second thing is just an observation that the medical insurance line item itself essentially takes up the entire increase on the property tax cap.
That's the difficult part with budgeting. We talked about the levy increase of $6.8 million, roughly, at the current 3.09. But we do know that 1.5 million of that 6.8 is earmarked for the change in capital, the growing debt payments and things of that nature. So we only have $5.3 million that we earmarked towards the budget. Thankfully, we are receiving another 2.4 million on the state side. But when you have one expenditure alone that's growing by nearly $4.8 million, it doesn't leave much room for other things.
Thank you again.
You're very welcome.
Just to clarify, and we've said this in our last meeting as well, but since this is a departure from prior practice, we will not be doing the Saturday line-by-line meeting. And as you've now said, and I just want to reiterate, you are not doing line-by-line presentations. You are doing via the function codes,
Yeah, I think it's
which has a certain logic to it,
I think
because
it's
the function...
C.
Exactly. The
When it's
function has to
grouped
do with
in
how the
functional
money is being
categories.
spent. Right.
They'll understand that if I lump everything in 2250, I'm talking about special education. It doesn't matter whether it's the teachers in that line, contractual expenses for OT providers maybe that we're paying, or the supplies and materials to run the program. We just want to look at year to year, budget to budget, what are we earmarking in that particular program.
And I would just note that by going through each of those line items here, Mr. O'Keefe is essentially providing that category by category detail. And if anyone has any additional questions, as Mr. O'Keefe said, they can follow up with.
Yeah, certainly follow up, give me a call, we can go over things, we can review the presentations on the website. This presentation will be up on the website tomorrow, and then we'll go from there.
Did anyone else from the board have any comments or questions for Mr. O'Keefe? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. Mr. Lander, can the lights go back up? Or are we actually going to now turn to the presentation for the summer camp in a moment? But it does help to see. Okay. Wake up, everyone. And now we will turn to the next item on our agenda. Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. The next item on our agenda is item 5D, which is a presentation of our summer school program. And we have with us Ms. Maria Hartophillis, who will be presenting the program to us. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'll keep it quick, I promise. I know it's been a long day, but I do really love speaking about summer school, so I hope that translates tonight. And a lot of my colleagues here actually work in the summer school, so they know exactly what it's all about. So the last time I addressed the board about summer school, it was actually February 2020, and then we all know what happened. So there have been quite a few changes, and I can't wait to show you tonight how much we've grown and how much we've adapted over the years as our community has grown and as our community's interests have changed. Okay, so last summer was actually our largest summer ever. For the first time, we had over 1,000 students in attendance at South High School. Last summer was actually the first time we were at South High School, and I'm so glad we were there because it was a venue large enough to house 1,089 students. I think there are a few factors because of that. I think because we were at South High School, we were able to have more classroom space and opened up new classes that we haven't had before. And also a lot of our families were local for the summer as the world was kind of returning back to normal, and they wanted their children to have a more normal summer experience in like a day camp setting. So I think that's why we had so many students attend. We'll see what this summer brings. I have a feeling we'll have a lot of children once again. Whoops. Oh, this moves pretty quickly. Can we go back a few slides? I'm sorry, for some reason it's not. Okay, perfect. All right, so we actually house several programs under the summer school enrichment and summer school program, I guess. So we're gonna start by talking about middle school and elementary school enrichment, which houses the majority of our students. This year we offered 76 courses. There were quite a few new ones. If you take a look at the top, you can see the variety of things we've offered, some of our more popular offerings. We do offer a combination of academic enrichment to provide support and a head start to academic subjects like math, science, etc. And we also offer some passion projects that our teachers want to pursue, such as classes in art, public speaking, chess, the stock market, etc. Last year, we were very excited to have journalism, mindfulness, a neuroscience class called The Brain and the Body, which sold out within 2 weeks, Math Playground, and Get Unplugged, which was actually one of our cooler course options last year. It was a totally tech-free class, and the class basically learned strategy and problem-solving skills through board games. And every time we walked into that classroom, the kids were chatting, having a good time, interacting without iPads, and it was so nice to see. Anybody who came to see them saw how excited they were. That's a class that sold out within 2 weeks and maxed out, believe it or not. So it was really nice to see children returning to some old school fun. Our elementary program has grown significantly. We'll talk about the details in a little bit, but last year we had 257 elementary school children from grades 1 through 5. Starting in 2021, we wanted to mimic the full day school experience, so we offered a 3-hour block that kind of mimicked a mini classroom. So the teachers start those days with morning meetings, and they intersperse lessons on reading, writing, math, etc. And they intersperse it with brain breaks and outdoor snack time and whatnot, so it really mimicked the elementary school day. And just like elementary school, we had rotating specials where every day for about 40 minutes, a specialist would come in to teach a rotation of Spanish, science, music, and library time, where the librarian would bring the children into the library and do various reading projects and arts and crafts projects. Prior to 2020, our elementary school offerings only consisted of 1 hour each of reading for second grade, reading for first grade, and reading for third grade. And it was actually parent feedback that came to us and said, listen, is there anything more beyond reading for our first and second and third grade students beyond just 1 hour? These little children would come to us for an hour and then take the shuttle to recreation, and that was it. And the parents wanted a little bit more to get them ready for the school year. So we decided, why not expand the elementary school program? And that's how you can see why the numbers jumped up so much between 2019 and 2021. In 2020, we did offer a virtual program, which I'll talk about in a little bit briefly, because let's forget that COVID made us do that. But we did grow significantly because our elementary parents wanted their children to go back to the classroom and see what a real full school day would be like. So it was a nice program to have to allow our children to transition from that hybrid learning environment to a full day or 3-hour day experience in elementary school. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I hope you're ready for some fun pictures. These are the 3 classes that sold out within the first few days of registration last year. I think The Queen's Gambit on Netflix had something to do with chess selling out within the first 3 days. Forensics is always a popular bestseller, and our sewing class for the first time maxed out in all 3 periods. Again, our kids are loving to learn in general, but to really pursue those hands-on passion projects. Because we were at South High School, we were able to take advantage of their aquarium in the basements. We ran a section of marine biology. In our first aid class, I think it's now running for the 5th summer, our students do get certified in first aid and AED training. And after that, the first aid teacher teaches them other aspects of community safety. She had the Manhasset Lakeville Fire Department come in to teach the students about community safety. And then Mr. Castoro actually took the kids on a field trip to the school security office by Phipps to show them what our district security team does to keep our buildings, students, and staff safe. One of the things we love the most about the enrichment program is our students get to explore different creative realms that they don't always get to explore as much during the school year. So we have our DIY class where our children are crafting, cooking, and creating various things without the use of an oven. In filmmaking, they're storyboarding and filming their own stories that they've made. And in sculpture and other art classes, they're becoming masterpiece artists of their own. Oops. Okay. Personal finance was new last year, and this was our 2nd summer with it. Walking in, I kind of wish I had taken a personal finance class as young as 6th grade. The teacher was talking about how to budget for different things, and it was really interesting to see how much our children really do know about the adult world and how much they appreciate how much their parents sacrificed for them. Being at any campus in Great Neck is beautiful, but especially the South End, our enrichment earth science class was able to go on a lot of outdoor field trips for the day and put what they're learning in the classroom to use by walking around the South Complex and taking a look at the different vegetation out there and the different topography and whatnot. And then finally, some more from our Drawing the World Around You class. That was just the morning program. We also have 2 afternoon programs. We have our musical theater, which I know some of you have attended in the past as guests of ours. We had 51 students last year performing Shrek Jr. We have 2 talented faculty members who are able to lead these students, audition them, and produce a full stage musical in just 5 weeks. Less than 5 weeks, because I think it's like day 21 or 22 they do the performance, which is pretty amazing. Shrek was very, very fun. Can't wait to find out what next year's summer play is going to be. And then we also have our morning music program as well as our afternoon music program. Because of COVID, I know the elementary schools had to suspend their in-person musical classes for a while, so it was really nice to see the summer program kind of bring those kids back in and to help them catch up on their musical abilities, because we all know how talented our district's music teachers and music programs are. Again, just like we had the summer school play, we also have a summer school concert. The dates this year will be posted shortly on our summer school website. All right, E&L. This is our AIS program for any E&L student, grades K through 12. We place our ENL students based on their current ENL teacher's recommendation, based on their grade level and their proficiency level, based on their NICETEL and NICESLAT proficiency test scores. Our ENL population, I'm sure the board is no stranger, our ENL population is no stranger to this fact. Our ENL population has grown significantly in Great Neck, as you can see from the numbers on this screen. This summer we had 221 ENL students. There's a variety of factors. We do have more ENL students in our district now, and there is also a unique grant that came out after COVID that not only continues to provide, well, ENL is always a tuition-free program for our students since it is an AIS service, but with this grant, it also provides free recreation in the afternoon at our recreation camps as long as they attend the academic enrichment in the morning. So a lot of our families are choosing to take advantage of that, which is wonderful because it's really providing a necessary academic and SEL service to our students. We actually just started registering our K through 8 ENL students over the past few weeks, and they are registering once again, so I'm very excited to be able to offer this again to them. All right, and then finally, there's high school, which is what most people think about probably when you hear the words summer school. We do offer 11 high school courses for academic credit recovery for the students who had a challenge completing those credits during the school year. In addition to those 11 courses, we also offer 2 ENL high school courses to help our ENL high school students continue acquiring and practicing their English. In addition, the district offers 8 free Regents Review courses to any GNPS resident who is taking the Regents exams again in August, whether they're taking it to recover a credit or what they're taking it to get a higher score. This past summer, we had 189 Regents exams. It was our first time administering the Regents since 2019. Some highlights from this past summer. A huge thank you to the technology team under Dr. Lander's direction. We all know that we're very much an iPad-based district. Every single student in our program had access to an iPad in their classroom. And the 5th through 12th graders are able to travel with them just like they're able to travel with them throughout the school year. So those children actually retained them in June. We compared registration records, and instead of collecting their iPads at the end of the year, we just let them hold on to them for the summer. Transportation, a huge thank you to Mr. Powell. It is no easy task, to Mr. Howell. It is no easy task to transport 1,089 students, but we were able to do it this summer with his help. We were also able to mail out bus passes this summer. This way, every child knew on the first day what time their bus was arriving, where to pick up their bus, and how to travel either from our program to recreation or from our program back home. And then finally, we always work closely with the security team. Mr. Costora was extremely helpful last summer in helping us get set up at our new location. We always conduct 1 lockdown and 2 fire drills, and we also have created identification badges for any of our staff that's retired or out of district, any of our student assistants that come to volunteer in our program, and for any non-GNPS high school students that attend our program for credit recovery. And then a quick overview of the past few years. You can see that in 2020 we had a bit of a dip. That was due to COVID. We actually had our very first ever virtual summer school program, and we were wondering, is it going to pass? Is it not going to pass? And we were shocked at how many families signed up and how many of our teachers chose to come back and teach over that summer. I think our teaching staff was, they knew that we might be going hybrid in September of 2020, so they signed on wanting to have that virtual teaching experience, and it came in handy for sure. 2021, we returned to the in-person classroom setting at South Middle School, but at that point, we were still practicing limited social distancing. And then last summer, when restrictions were loosened, you can see what a jump in enrollment we had, especially when we moved to the high school and had more classroom space to work with. In the years 2020 and 2021, there weren't any Regents exams, and we had a significant drop in Regents test takers last year due to the SA passed by the state to allow children to pass with a 55 on the Regents. We'll see what happens this year, especially with the new U.S. history test returning. Looking ahead, the dates for our program are up on the board for you. High school will begin on Wednesday, July 5th and run through the 15th, followed by the 2 August Regents test administration dates. And enrichment will begin on the same date as recreation. We always run in tandem. We start on Monday, July 3rd, closed on July 4th, obviously, and we'll finish on Friday, August 4th. We've increased our fees like we do every year. This year it's a 3.5% increase in line with recreation and also to cover rising inflation costs. And we will open registration to the public on Monday, April 3rd. This program takes a village. It would not be possible without your support, without the superintendent's support and the help of our assistant superintendents, as well as our teaching faculty who bring it every year. We wouldn't have a program without them, and for the families who choose to entrust their students to our care. It really is such a wonderful program. I'm very proud of it. I encourage you to follow us on Instagram. We started that last summer at GNPS Summer. We'll start to repost again soon as we get ready to open up for registration in the next few years. And thank you again for your continued support. Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I just would like to offer a comment, and then maybe other board members do have also comments. This is an example of what makes Great Neck really just a superlative place. It's just amazing what you just described, what's available to residents here, and what you have been able to create along with your colleagues. It rivals a summer camp, but it's not a summer camp, it's a summer program. It's available to children, whether they're enrolled in the public schools or in the non-public schools, whether they speak English as a first language or not. It's due to the creativity of our staff and, you know, all these classes that you just described, whether they're in music or in science or in writing and whatever it is, photography, all of that, and it's made to be fun, and if it's supplementing learning loss of some kind, it's still made to be fun. How wonderful, really, and I'm so proud of it. I'm so glad that the board is able to support that, and that it's revenue positive. Wow, how great is that? So thank you, and that it's been able to grow through the pandemic is also something quite exceptional. And you have so much to be proud of, and I'm proud of it too.
Thank you.
In case there's anything anybody else would want to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I just have a quick question for you, Ms. Hartfelis. Do you know, how did people register for the classes?
It's a great question. So we actually do push out a parent link. Registration is done entirely online through the Family ID system. It's the same system that the parents use to register their students for sports throughout the school year. This will be our second year using the system, so it's very user-friendly. So we'll push out the link right before registration opens. We'll push out the brochure a few days earlier so they have time to peruse and decide what they want to take. And then if they have any questions, they can contact us or the recreation office because we work together.
I do, thank you. I do have a follow-up questions. What for the private private school student or?
Right, as long as they live within the Great Neck Public Schools system, they're eligible to attend our program. So we often have a lot of students who attend the local yeshivas or some of the private schools in Great Neck, they're able to attend.
So how do they register?
Same way.
Okay.
We have a master list that we can compare to make sure everyone who's registered is eligible.
Right. I do have parents ask me about those questions. So thank you very much.
I wish we could accept more from out of district, but we just don't have the space.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else? So thank you very much. Okay. The next items on the agenda are items 6A and B and C. Is there a motion in favor of items 6A, B, and C?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those motions carry unanimously. The next item, yes?
Meeting was on March 8th, and Don passed away exactly 2 years ago today. So it just seems very prophetic and telling that this donation is coming through today, ironically.
May his memory be blessed. And we all remember Don fondly. And since you mentioned it, we thank Karen for being a member of the Board Advisory Committee. Her family's connection to the Great Neck Public Schools is ongoing. The next item on the agenda is item 6D, which is the call of the annual district election. Mr. O'Keefe referenced it in his budget presentation as well. Is there a motion in favor of the call of the annual district election? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any board discussion on that? The only thing I'm referencing is I just want everyone here to know, anybody out there watching on YouTube or what have you, by now you ought to have received, if you're a resident, this green thing that I'm holding up. It's a postcard. It says 2023-24 school budget vote. This was mailed to every residence in the on the peninsula, basically. If you haven't received it and you're concerned that you didn't receive it, you should contact the district clerk because it has been mailed at this time. I wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that. That process is now underway, and that's enough on my part of the board discussion on that. Is there anything else anyone wanted to add on that? Okay. So I'm now calling the vote on that. Is there, well, I've already asked for the motion. All in favor of item 6D, the call of the annual district election? Okay, that too carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is item 6E, which is Adult Education Association Chapter Agreement. Is there a motion in favor of that? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That too carries unanimously. The next items on the agenda are matters of policy 6F through L, and for those we turn to the members of the policy committee chaired by Mrs. Perez.
Thank you, Mrs. Sassooni, and thank you to the other members of the policy committee, Dr. Prendergast and Mr. Shi. We have several new policies for a first reading tonight. The first one is 5154. It is a revision, assignment of students to classes. The revision addresses the inclusion of pre-kindergarten students in this process, and as such is proposed that the title be amended to Assignment of Students to Classes Grades Pre-Kindergarten through 5. In addition, in order to provide more flexibility in the assignment of students to classes, it is recommended that teacher assignments and classes be published prior to the start of the school year rather than prior to the last day of school. This revised policy is being submitted for a first reading. Do I have a motion to accept? Second? Are there any questions or comments? Okay. That being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Policy 6420, also a revision, electronic online banking. This is a first reading. The revision, excuse me, elaborates on the district's existing protocols with regard to electronic online banking activities. Among these are the inclusion of the district treasurer, deputy district treasurer as individuals authorized to initiate and process these transactions, and an expanded list of the types of electronic activities that the district may engage in. This revised policy is being submitted for a first reading. Do I hear a motion to accept? Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Policy 6600, also a revision, fiscal accounting, first reading. The revision addresses in policy format the existing role of the district treasurer with regard to the provision of periodic projections of the end of the year fund balance, and that of the assistant superintendent of business with regard to the highlighting of any deviation in actual fiscal conditions from planned financial conditions. This revised policy is also being submitted for a first reading. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Policy 6830, also a revision, conference expense reimbursement, first reading. The revision addresses the inclusion and expansion of information from 6830-R, conference expense reimbursement regulation, which concurrently is being presented for deletion. Examples include the need for the Board of Education to adopt by resolution approval for the Board of Education members to attend conferences or professional meetings, references, and hyperlinks to the United States General Services Administration, known as GSA, lodging and meal reimbursement rates, and provision of a $75 per diem flat rate allowance for meals for overnight conferences. In addition, it is proposed that the policy be retitled Expense Reimbursement. This revised policy is being submitted for a first reading. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Just a comment that the $75 allotment for each day that someone is at a conference is a raise from, was it $50? 50? Whatever was the amount could not possibly have fed somebody for 3 meals a day. So $75 is a change. All those in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Policy 6830, also a revision, conference expense reimbursement. The revision addresses the inclusion, what? Okay. The revision addresses the inclusion and expansion of information from 6830R, conference expense reimbursement regulation, which concurrently is being presented for deletion. Examples include the need for the Board of Education to adopt by resolution approval for Board of Education members to attend conferences or professional meetings, references and hyperlinks to the United States General Services Administration, lodging and meal reimbursement rates, and the provision of a $75 per diem flat rate allowance for meals for overnight conferences. In addition, it is proposed that the policy be retitled Expense Reimbursement. This policy is being submitted for a first reading. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Policy 6830R for deletion, conference expense reimbursement. This regulation, adopted in 2005, is proposed to be incorporated into Policy 6830, conference expense reimbursement, which is concurrently being presented for revision, including a change of its title to expense reimbursement. This deleted policy is being submitted for first reading. Do I hear a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the last policy for first reading is Policy 6900, also a revision, disposal of district property. This is for a first reading. The revision addresses an update to the processes for it to be utilized when disposing of district policy, including the need for a recommendation from administration along with approval from the Board of Education prior to the sale of any property and the prohibition of such a sale to a member of the Board of Education. This revised policy is also being submitted for a first reading. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The next group of policies are being presented for a third reading, and there has been no change since our last meeting. Policy 5150, 6010, 6640, 6670, and 6800 are all being presented for a third reading and possible adoption. Do I hear a motion to accept? Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And that is the end of the policy report.
Mrs. Berkowitz?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing, because the audience is probably not aware, but we did all of this beforehand, and we read through everything very carefully. So even though it seems that we're going through it quickly, we've all had the opportunity to read every one of these policies, the changes, and so on.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. At this time, I need to make a few motions to amend the agenda. So I'm about to do so. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include item 6M, which is a motion to amend. Is there a second to my motion to amend the agenda? All those in favor of my motion to amend the agenda?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries. And now here is the motion, which is motion 6N, which I will now read in its entirety. And then I will ask for a vote. Here is motion item 6N, which is a residency appeal. And I will ask for a motion in a moment. Is there a motion in favor of the following item? A residency appeal, whereas the Board of Education of the Great Neck Union Free School District received a residency appeal in accordance with Board Policy 5150 on February 23, 2023, and whereas the residency appeal was filed as a result of the district registrar's determination to exclude 2 students whose identities were disclosed to the Board of Education in executive session, and whereas in accordance with Board Policy 5150, the Board of Education must make a determination with regard to the residency appeal filed on behalf of the 2 students referenced above, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Great Neck Union Free School District, after having reviewed documentation relating to the instant residency appeal relating to the exclusion of the 2 students whose identities were disclosed to the Board of Education in executive session, hereby denies the residency appeal submitted on behalf of the 2 students on February 23, 2023, and now therefore be it further resolved that the Board of Education directs the district clerk to notify the parent of the board's determination of the residency appeal submitted on February 23, 2023. Is there a motion in favor of the motion as I just read it?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I will now make another motion to amend the agenda as we have another walk-in resolution. The next motion is on item 6O, to amend the agenda. May I have a second to my motion to amend the agenda? All in favor of that motion to amend the agenda?
Aye.
Thank you. That too carries unanimously. And now I will read another motion, which I will call 6P, and I will then ask for a vote on item 6P, which is a suspension appeal. Item 6P, be it resolved that upon reviewing the appeal of a student discipline matter, the Board of Education affirms the decision of the superintendent in all respects, and be it further resolved that the district clerk shall notify the parents in writing of the board's determination. May I have a second for that motion that I just made? Any board discussion? All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
That carries unanimously, and that was item 6P. Thank you. Okay. And now we turn back to the previous agenda, items 7A and 8A through I, 9A and 10A through G, and 11A through F. May I have a motion in favor of those? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of those?
Aye.
Those two carry unanimously. Thank you. We are now up to open time. For open time, there have been a number of yellow cards submitted to the clerk, to Ms. McShane, and if anyone else would like to submit a yellow card, they may do so still. Ms. McShane, can I have the yellow cards? Thank you. In general, we try to abide the same time limit for everyone, just to be fair, and that is a 3-minute time limit. And we avoid talking about any individual children or personnel. Did I skip G did I skip an item inadvertently? Oh, my pleasure to return to that one item. Okay, no problem. No problem. Okay, so may I have a motion in favor of item 11G? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
11G also carries unanimously. And now we will turn to open time. And again, if anyone else would like to submit a yellow card, you may do so. At this time, we have 4 yellow cards, and I will begin with Juan Carlos Rinzon.
Can I tell my, I don't like to give my back to the audience. Distinguished board, thank you very
You're
much
addressing
for
the
giving me
board,
time
please. Thank you.
to a few minutes. I just want to express my sincere gratitude to all the hardworking staff at Great Neck School District, educators, as a fellow teacher. They're doing a fantastic job with my son. He is come a long way, and I'm really, really happy to be here. This has been the best move that I made for my family, moving to this great community, and I'm very thankful. And give themselves a round of applause to all the teachers. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mr. Michael Norberto.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us here today, or tonight. I want to kind of speak about the amazing things that are happening here at North Middle School between our students and our wonderful staff. From the FACS department, which is chaired by Dr. Kuhner, they are working closely with the 7th grade team leaders to plan out a career day so that on March 24th, 16 professionals from around the community will be coming in to speak and present about their careers. They're also collaborating with John Woods from the guidance department to bring the concept of Ikigai, which is finding what you love, are good at, and be paid for, and what the world needs, as a 7th grade career unit. From the math department, kind of going back to what Dr. Prendergast had talked about earlier, our robotics team, led by Mr. Livingston, who's actually here tonight, and Dr. Boyd, placed 4th in the Mineola FLL competition in the end of January. And the math team, which is also led by Dr. Boyd and our own Ms. Pizzito, finished in 3rd on Long Island in the math count in February, and then advanced to the state competition last weekend up in Saratoga. And we're still waiting on the final results of that competition. From the Health and Adaptive Physical Education departments led by Mrs. Wick, a number of grade level speakers will be coming in the future to talk about substance abuse, mental illness, breast cancer, HIV/AIDS, gender, sexuality, and managing emotions. For an adaptive PE event, we will have the Achilles Marathon on May 24th. The adaptive PE students will complete a 26.2-mile marathon over the course of 4 months. Students will demonstrate their track and field skills for students and staff, and additionally, students will present oral presentations created in health, sing a song learned in music class, and display artwork designed in art class. And this year's theme is the Disney Marathon. And lastly for me, our social studies department, which is led by Mrs. Christofuli, who I think is somewhere here also, somewhere, yeah. They are taking it from ancient Egypt through the American Revolution to the Roaring Twenties, and here at North Middle School, the students are exploring world and U.S. history through their social studies classes. Whether they're learning about how to build a pyramid, how to establish a democracy, or how to dance the Charleston, students are building and mastering academic skills every day. Additionally, North Middle has begun something new this year. My time is up. An entrepreneurs group led by Ms. Weissman, which they successfully designed, pitched, and sold products to fundraise for the recent Frost Valley trip. And these young entrepreneurs will soon be connecting with their North High School counterparts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Matt Trinkwald.
Thank you for allowing us to speak, and also thank you for recognizing our students this evening. It's weird talking down here. Usually I'm talking up there. I'm just going to piggyback on my counterpart about some of the things from some of the departments here at North Middle School. A shameless plug for the music department. We started a newsletter this year that's been going over nicely. Monthly newsletter. This month we have talking about Women's History Month and Music in Our Schools Month. Dr. Prendergast, you mentioned the musicals here. Our teachers, Ms. Murdacco, Ms. Larson, Ms. Andriacci, and a number of other teachers, both present teachers and retired teachers from this building, from other buildings, from outside the district, are here running daily rehearsals. They really do work hard to make sure that the audience is getting a professional level theater experience. Ms. Walsh in our World Language Department are competing in the National Latin Exam against Latin language learners nationally. They're recognizing the Ides of March to acknowledge how the assassination of Julius Caesar has changed Roman history and government. The E&L storytelling event is this month. Students are writing and memorizing personal narratives. This year's theme is Overcoming Fears. The National World Language Week and National Foreign Language Month was recognized through daily classroom school-wide activities to promote cultural appreciation, inclusivity, and unity. The Lunar New Year is recognized through Asian culture celebrations with classroom and school-wide activities. Ms. Wittberg in our science department hosted its annual science symposium. Students in Ms. Leone's 8th grade science research classes shared their impressive research projects, which spanned a wide range of disciplines, including biology, chemistry, environmental science, psychology, and engineering. 5 of these groups presented their experiments and findings this past Tuesday, which was yesterday, at the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair at Crest Hollow Country Club. These students received many accolades. 1 group received an honorable mention award, 2 groups came in 2nd place, and 1 group received a 1st place award. The 1st place students have now been nominated to compete in the 2023 Thermo Fisher Scientific Junior Innovator Challenge, the nation's premier STEM research competition for middle school students. This upcoming Saturday, our Science Olympiad team, under the guidance of Ms. Norris, Ms. Leone, and Ms. Wittberg, will be attending the Regional Science Olympiad competition at Kellenberg High School. At this competition, students will spend all day competing in various different scientific events against teams from all over Nassau County. We wish them good luck. So again, thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. If there's any more yellow cards, please go ahead and submit. And the last one so far is Josh Forst.
Hello, good evening, everyone. What I was looking to talk about is, I'm not sure, well, actually I know that you are aware, but I know you're aware that as of December, our governor signed a new law which gives, first of all, I'm coming as Josh Forst, not as a member of any fire company, because I do want to say that. Real property tax law 466A allows for an exemption of up to 10% for of the assessed valuation of a primary residence for any and all volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers, and I think it would be a nice step for the board. It's something that you have to opt into. It's not an automatic, so it would be a nice move for the Board of Education to give that exemption to the people in Great Neck who give of themselves. That is all.
Thank you.
Madam President, just so I can update you, we actually do offer that exemption to our volunteer firefighters now. The board has afforded that exemption since 2005. We did get the notification Mr. Forst mentioned in late December, so I have reached out to council. It would be my recommendation to bring that forward to you. We do have 3 years. Currently, the exemptions at the county level, that's going to actually be eliminated, then moving to a statewide exemption, similar to the way STAR or something is done. So at some future board meeting, I would bring that forward to you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. We're up to board discussion, and if there's anything from the board. So, go right ahead.
Last week I was at Village School and Middle School, and I just wanted to thank the schools for hosting me. I had a place for an hour and that, so great. I really appreciate the opportunity to meet with everyone, and hopefully that's with everyone else soon.
It is great to get out to the schools and to see the kids and our teachers and the administrators. There's nothing better. A few other things that I would just like to add. At our last meeting last month, we introduced to the community district-wise LLC, the search firm that the board retained to engage us, to engage in a superintendent search to help us identify our next superintendent of schools. Just by way of updating the community, as we have promised that we would, we just wanted everyone who's here tonight and who will listen to this meeting out there in the future to know that there is a survey up on the district website for anyone who wishes to participate that will help prioritize what it is that you in the community are looking for as priorities in the successor candidate. And so that's important, and we are hoping that as many people as are willing will participate in that survey. In addition, district-wise has begun the process of setting up focus groups with the many, many stakeholder groups that have been identified from the community. And at this point, there are thankfully many of those focus groups scheduled. So please be on the lookout for those. And as well, the application for the potential candidates is already live, and the advertisement is out and the application is out, and so this process is well underway, and hopefully it will yield someone outstanding. And we will continue to update the community as we know more. And there is a dedicated space to the search on the district's website. Related to that, under our board goals, we had this year a board goal to engage the community before we ever knew of Dr. Prendergast's announcement. And we had identified as a board goal that we would try to engage the community with an advisory committee. And as we said at our last meeting, we had a meeting. We have 40 people engaged in an advisory meeting, advisory committee, that is, excuse me. And so the meeting of the next advisory meeting will be next week. I just wanted the group to know that. And again, there's dedicated space on the district website about that too. And related to that, I guess, communications goal, I thought it would be appropriate for the board, and I just personally also, I just feel very deeply grateful to Colleen Bowler, the information specialist for the district, and as well to Rob Zahn and to Justin Lander and everyone engaged in communications for the district in the last few months, especially with the announcement that was made by Dr. Prendergast and with all of the work of getting the news out for the advisory committee and for the superintendent search, and as well, all of the good things that are happening here, as we've just heard tonight, with our teachers, with our students, with our administrators. There's so many good things happening, and we rely on Colleen and on Rob to get the good word out, whether on Instagram or on Facebook or on the district site. And so I thought it would be a good idea to say thank you and to encourage everyone who's listening to follow on Instagram and on Facebook, because we want to build the followers on those platforms. And with that, I'm done talking. If anybody else has anything to add. Okie dokie. Is there a motion? Well, I didn't make the motion. Who wants to make the motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor? Have a good evening, everyone.